It's time for the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. It's time for The Game on ESPN 1400. For the next 2 hours, we'll get an in-depth look at local sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region, and hear from the coaches and players involved in the game. We'll also analyze the college and pro sports scene across the region and dive into the biggest national stories. Now, let's get to the game and join your host, Scott Nason.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to The Game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. As the man said, my name is Scott Nason, broadcasting from our studios, ESPN 1400 on 3 Mile Road and M129 in beautiful Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan on this Monday, February 3rd, 2020. The Game, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, 2 hours of sports talk, comment, and all sorts of goodness. And we are joined right off the bat, right on time. I'll tell you, this guy, his timing is as impeccable as his smile. His name is Dave McCaig, host of the Game Sports Show in Sault, Ontario. Kegger, thanks for coming over on this Monday evening, my friend. How about that? Impeccable as your smile.
I think that might be the most wordy intro you gave me in the best way, though. That
it just came to me. I don't know where it came from.
For you to say time management skills, pointing out that there, that's impressive, too. I think a lot of people will be kind of wondering what you mean, because I'm going to be late for everything. That's kind of my own thing.
Right on
time today.
Hey, you got to go across the border. I totally get it. Sometimes those backups, but it's good to have you here, Dave.
Yes. Good to see you, Scotty.
Yeah, good to see you as well. We got you for about the first 40 minutes of the show. And before we get into the local sports, you've been very busy over on your side of the pond, obviously with your shows, which you can find on thegamesportshow.com. However, when people type that in, they may see something very different. They will see something very different. Tell us all about the brand new website, same address, whole different look.
Definitely. It's an amazing look. And I got to give a shout out to Aaron Robinson. Like, he's a friend of mine I've known since I was a wee lad. And he reached out to me and said, I heard you want a new website. He's, look, to be honest, I like your site. I think he was being nice, but it was very simple. And he said he wants to enhance it. Sure. And we want to grow the brand. That's been the plan. And obviously during Christmas, I got really sick and then I hurt my back. So I was off for a month. So it's been a very steady month with not being able to execute as quickly as I'd like to be. But I'm happy to announce that yesterday we officially launched our new website with thegamesportshow.com. It is gorgeous.
Like, it's only getting better.
It is fantastic. You got Spotify on there now for the Game Sports Show. We have Apple Podcasts on there. We still have Podbean for everyone that's on Podbean. But you can also, which is awesome, you can stream the episode right from the website. So if you don't have Spotify, or you don't have Apple Podcasts, or you don't even have Podbean or any Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, because we're all over the platforms, you can just be on our website on your mobile phone or on your laptop, whatever it is, work computer, stream it right from there, which is great because not everyone has the accounts on Spotify. Not everyone has the accessibility. So that was the big thing, was to be able to have something that is accessible and just very, let's say, eye-catching to the audience. And also on that site, you got our About page, which is new. We have a store on there. We have a contact information. We're going to be implementing some new things on there as time goes along as well. We're very hopeful to have a kind of a community platform that will allow listeners and our viewers to be able to submit articles to us or even submit their podcasts to us. So do different things. So we're very excited on the Game Sports Show. Scott, it's you and I. And what we remember doing back at McDonald's, doing all day breakfast.
They're a sponsor. You can say that. Very good.
That's I knew that kind of. So we had the all day breakfast there, right? I remember doing that at the end of 2015, 2016.
Promoting that Egg McMuffin, baby.
Oh, that and the Shamrock Shakes. Shamrock Shakes.
Hey, coming soon.
So good. Yes, I can't wait. I got marked in my calendar, believe it or not. But nonetheless, what we've done to where we are now, and obviously ESPN 1400 Sovereign Communications, Mark, Keith, the list goes on for everybody here who has done a great job with us to help us continue to grow, and everyone who's a part of the show. And Scotty, it's great to be a part of it. It's exciting. And this website, you got to check it out.
I have.
You have the listeners, you have to look at it. If you're driving right now, please don't pull out your cell phone and look.
Out your phone.
Don't do that. When you get out of your vehicle to go home into the mall or wherever you're going, pull out your phone, give it a quick look. Give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram, which is at The Game Sports Show. You'll love our new website. It's so awesome, Scott.
Again, the website, thegamesportshow.com, and you can also still podcast page is the same, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Dave, we're going to talk about local sports here in a minute, but I want to make sure, of course, to talk about the big game yesterday.
Yes.
Super Bowl 54.
Yes.
Between Kansas City and San Francisco. Kansas City wins their first Super Bowl in 50 years, 31-20. Game not quite as easy as maybe the final score made it look. The Chiefs were down 10 with 8 minutes to play. Mahomes looked human, and then, well, he did what exactly, and he gets the MVP. Just your thoughts overall on what I thought was a very entertaining game, and I think just a very good Super Bowl from top to bottom. I thought the halftime performances were fantastic, by the way, and I like some of the commercials as well. So just your thoughts on the Super Bowl.
My first thing is, you said it right then in the halftime show. I felt like I was back in 2000.
I really did.
But you know what?
I lost 20 years.
J-Lo and Shakira are flawless women. I'm just going to say they're beautiful women.
But the performance
was great.
They were lip syncing though.
Yeah, there was something.
You got to if you're moving that fast
for sure. But the entertainment was awesome.
It was great.
Everything, the execution was flawless. Their beauty, everything of such with both performers, and obviously J-Lo taking over. She still got it. Everyone still got it.
50 years old.
Yeah, and you know
Blown
what?
Away when I
definitely
heard that.
thumbs up. You know, to that halftime show. It's probably one of the better halftime shows that I can remember.
Beats Adam Levine any day of the week.
Yeah, that wasn't the best. You know what? I still remember Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. Still one of my tops. Just kidding.
How about the game?
The game
itself.
The game. No pun intended to the Game Sports Show.
Yes.
But you know what? I predicted the score to be 35-28 was mine for the Chiefs.
Okay.
So I was in the ballpark. And the reason why I said that was because I predicted the Chiefs would come back in the fourth quarter. I did get that right. You know why I predicted that? Because they've been doing that.
That's all they've been doing.
That's the most obvious bet that you can almost have, is that they would come back. And the reason why is because there's no quit to that team. They don't stop. And it seems like when they're behind, it seems like that's when they're better. You know, the defense steps up. You know, throughout the first 3 quarters of the game, you had the San Francisco 49ers just literally running the show.
Front four.
The front four, the defense was great. They're able to kind of contain Patrick Mahomes. 2 interceptions. Okay, you're able to hold him back. But then Damian Williams, I'm actually kind of shocked that he didn't get an MVP.
I thought he should got high consideration for that.
No offense to Patrick Mahomes. No. Obviously, what he did this playoffs was impressive. But Damian Williams had a lot of points against the Packers in terms of yards and touchdowns, if you're still talking points. And in the Super Bowl, 2 touchdowns. The game-winning touchdown.
Unsung hero.
Literally. And just everyone was kind of chipping in. And you know what? Kelsey, not saying he wasn't evident, but he started picking it up. The big players came to play near the end, and the Chiefs did not stop. They didn't quit. It seems like San Fran just didn't know. It's like they forgot how to play football for the fourth quarter. I don't know if Shanahan has a little bit of a curse when he goes up with leads. I know I don't understand.
They depended too much on the defense. I think they kind of took the pedal off the gas a little bit. I mean, you look what happened at the end of the first half when they could have maybe got another score there. They played very conservative, but you give Mahomes a chance and the split second decision making, and he got hit hard in that game. When he ran the ball, and this guy 2 years into the league, he's a Super Bowl champ. He's an NFL MVP. He's a Super Bowl MVP. 2 years. I mean, he's been in the league 3 years because he sat behind Alex Smith for a year. Look at this guy. I mean, is he living up to the hype? I mean, I think it would be hard pressed to say he's not going to win at least another one, maybe more.
I think what we're seeing right now, and people can say this is an early prediction, but we're seeing another dynasty quarterback. I think of someone who can lead and win multiple championships. Seen Andy Reid win one as well, which is
I like that.
21 seasons before you win.
He's
last time he was there. I love that. The last time he won, he had Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens as his weapons. Okay, not the last time he had a Super Bowl, the last time he made it to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And right now, what I really felt is Richard Sherman in the fourth quarter. I believe it was Tyreek Hill that beat him for that long catch.
Yep.
And Tyreek
Sherman, I didn't think had a great game.
No, he didn't. They attacked him. It seems like Andy Reid and the coaches felt like they weren't attacking Sherman enough. And I think that's what they kind of looked at the fourth quarter and used speed on Sherman. And Sherman's not as young as a pup as he used to be anymore, but he's still a fantastic defensive player in the NFL. So for Tyreek, though, it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest players in the NFL. And that's what the Chiefs have. They have an offense that's fast and explosive and just exciting. Mahomes, I didn't know this until going into this year that guy can run. And he's a power forward in the National Hockey Leagues when he's running. You can't knock him down. There's nothing. The guy is literally Super Saiyan. There was Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3. For everyone who knows Dragon Ball Z out there, he went Super Saiyan 3 right here, because this is not the first time he's came back. He just overtakes the game.
Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon
Did you
Ball
just throw
Z.
out a Dragon Ball Z reference?
I did. There's different. Super Saiyan 3. That's what Patrick Mahomes went.
What that means, but keep going.
I'll say right now that the defense of the Chiefs, I thought, was really behind the 49ers defense in terms of being able to keep up in the game, but the Chiefs defense actually did okay.
Made the plays
they actually did okay. They allowed 20 points, all right, but you know what? They contained. They're able to hold back. They're able to contain the deep threat. The big thing that they're able to contain, though, was the run game for the San Francisco 49ers. Which is big.
Got what, 50 some odd yards?
Yes, and that's
Coleman,
where
maybe 30.
You force Jimmy G to throw the ball, and don't kid yourself. He has a rocket as an arm,
and he did. I think he did an okay job.
He did, but he's more of a kind of a agile quarterback who likes to move in the pocket. He likes to hand off the ball, do some running, gain those field and the yardage by running. And then when he gets to midfield, it's more of the short throws. And then he really depends on Kittle when he gets down to the red zone. That's kind of what the 49ers seems like that was the effect that was working. But the Chiefs defense able to hold that back, which is impressive. 20 points seems like, oh, that's a lot of points to let. Listen, against the San Francisco 49ers, it's not that bad. 31 for the Chiefs to get on the Niners, that's what's impressive.
Yeah, very good game. We're going to talk more about that with Butch Davis coming up here in the second half of the first hour, and hopefully EJ Russell as well from Escanaba,
Sorry, I'm
Michigan.
missing that second hour.
That's all right, Dave. You're a very busy man. Let's get to some of the Sioux Ontario sports, Dave, while we have you here. We're going to get to the high school basketball here a little bit later. Let's talk about the Hounds. They went out east, and a decent trip for the Hounds. They go 2-1, beating Peterborough 2-1 on Thursday, then a 5-2 win at Kingston. And yesterday afternoon, playing one of the, if not the best team in the OHL, the Ottawa 67s. The Hounds fall by the score of 5-2. Head coach John Dean in media reports today says that was on him. He got a misconduct penalty, arguing a call, giving Ottawa a 5-on-3 power play. And while the 67s took advantage of that. So the Hounds 23-24, 2-0. They're ninth in the OHL's Western Conference. They're 1 point back of 8th place Erie, and they're 4 points back of 7th place Owen Sound. The Hounds will be at home against Kitchener on Wednesday, a game you can hear on Rock 101 with Jerry Liscombe Jr. And Dave, really, I think this is where I thought the Hounds would be at the beginning of the season. I thought they'd be a 500 team. They'd be competing. They got a new goaltender now, and Malik coming over, who's played well. Your thoughts on the Hounds here in early February, chasing a playoff spot, but not that far out?
This team, I think, should be in a better spot than what it is, to be honest with you. They've had a lot of games this year slip away. The goaltending has let them down a little bit this year until now. This is before Nick has come, so Hounds fans, easy. I'm not chirping Nick. This goalie, Malik is going to be fantastic. 17 years old. This kid.
And next year's draft predicted to be maybe the best goalie of them all.
He can be here for his 18th, 19th, and 20th. That's 3 years. Okay. And the Hounds have good youth coming up. Very excited to see what they can draft. But these games, nonetheless, this past weekend, I still call that a successful road trip.
Oh, 2-1?
I
don't care who you play.
You get 4 to 6 points on a road trip. You go in Ottawa, and you actually play a pretty good game. Okay,
2 empty net goals in that 5-2 loss, so it was really a 1-goal game.
Exactly. They've lost a lot of 1-goal games this year, and honestly, this is a team that is starting to learn itself more. It seems like each game, and with Malik back there, it just gives the confidence that he's going to stop the puck as best as he possibly can, obviously, but he's going to stop the puck often. And for a young kid to be able to be that confident in the crease, that's what I'm very impressed with. Overall, though, what I see with the Hounds is kind of that size does get to them a little bit. They are smaller than other teams, and some people are like, well, this is modern hockey. This is speed. This is speed game. You know what? You're right. But you know what? When you play against the big boys in Sudbury, like I'm talking about the Quinton Byfields, or when you're playing against the Ottawa 67, some big bodies out there, you're in a position where the size does disadvantage the Hounds. In some games, it really shows. But when you have Peterborough, there's a team that has Robinson on them. That's a Leaf draft pick that right there. And I'll tell you, Nick Robinson's going to be a fantastic player in the NHL. But back to the Hounds, that's where the Hounds, I feel like when they play with Peterborough, that's their threshold. That's the kind of team they can kind of look at themselves and be like, that's what we're almost similar. You're a little bit behind them, obviously, given what the standing state. But when you look at other teams that have the big forwards, when the Hounds are against those teams, I think they have to try to fight back, crash the net, get in the dirty areas, and use their speed to tire out the offense and the defense of the other team and shoot the puck more. I really find that they're not shooting the puck enough, despite being one of the top scoring teams in the Ontario Hockey League. I feel like they should shoot the puck a little bit more in some opportunities. But one thing that sticks out to me that obviously, again, this is not with Nick being here, this is before, the goals against.
That is a lot of goals and a lot of shots.
That's a lot of it. That's the red flag. That is where, as a GM, when you look forward to the future, and even as the coach, you got to adjust your systems accordingly to ensure that you don't get as many shots than that. Now that you have Malik in that, it's a little bit more comforting. Even Bailey, he's hot and cold. He's inconsistent. But overall, this is a Hounds team that has a little bit of confidence right now. They had a good game against Ottawa. I would be very surprised if they're not a playoff team this year still. I can't see this team not being in the playoffs given the talent they have, like Pitlick, McKay, you have O'Rourke, you have Constantino with Malik. I just can't see this team not being in the playoffs. And just going forward, there's a lot of optimism.
Yeah, and looking at the West right now, Dave, the top two teams are Saginaw and London, both with 66. You have Kitchener, who started the season very poorly. They're 1 point back. Windsor, I don't think many people thought Windsor was this far ahead of the curve. I think Windsor was maybe in a rebuilding stage. And that Flint team, that's a team that interests me in fifth place right now with 60 points. I mean, this is a team that, even up to last year had all sorts of trouble, and I think they've won 6 in a row. So of those 5 teams, and in my opinion, those are probably the 5 teams that have a chance to win the West. No offense to the Hounds. They could pull a couple upsets, but I really look at Saginaw and Flint as the 2 I'm most interested in. I think Saginaw really piled up at the trade deadline, getting Suzuki among others. Of course, you always know London. They're always tough with Dale Hunter and such. Just of all those teams, Dave, which is the one right now, February 3rd, that you are paying the most attention to?
You know what? You said it with those 2, Saginaw and Flint, but obviously I might get a lot of ugh with this, and that's why I said it before while you were saying is London.
Every year that team is up there.
Literally, but that's the team that has my interest. See if they can actually keep it, because honestly, they're either going to be a team that can walk through the playoffs or they're going to lose first round.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm interested, because I'm not convinced that this is a team that's a Memorial Cup team. I'm sorry. I'm really not. Saginaw is my team.
I think
because of the acquisitions, the seriousness to win with what they got at the deadline, and just kind of the fit of that team all around from 1 to 4 in the lineup. I kind of feel like if they're in a 7-game series against the London Knights, you got to think Saginaw's got to be a favorite in that, just because of their work ethic and just because of the talent. Like, obviously you look at London with Formanton and you look at the certain guys there that are in place. It's an impressive team, but overall, that's the team that has me interested, because I don't think they're going to be as good as advertised, Scotty.
Yeah, the Hounds will be at home to Kitchener on Wednesday, and then they will also be on the road this weekend. Actually, no, they'll be at home, They'll be at home to Guelph on Friday. Then they will be at home to Niagara on Saturday. All 3 games you can hear on the home for the Hounds, Rock 101. We're going to take our first break here on the game. When we come back, Dave and I are going to talk more hockey. We got to cover the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League, along with other things. And then we're going to get into a disturbing report from the Northern Ontario Hockey Association from this past week as far as racial slurs increasing dramatically in youth hockey. We're going to talk about all that and more coming up here on the game, ESPN 1400.
I wonder just how many times Merle's Towing has made their way out in the middle of nowhere late at night in below zero weather and given a grateful motorist a jump. Or met a driver in town who spaced out and locked their keys in the car. Or who took a curve just a little too fast for conditions and ended up in the ditch. The Merle's crew's been doing it for 45 years, so they've helped out their neighbors, I'd say thousands and thousands of times. Good to know there's somebody you can always count on, isn't it? Merle's Towing, Sioux, Michigan.
In today's fast-paced world, convenience is key. Central Savings Bank knows this and keeps you up to date with all the latest banking technology. Pay securely and conveniently with Mobile Wallet. Manage all your banking needs with internet banking. Central Savings Bank has been in business since 1902, and there's a reason why. No hassle checking and savings accounts. Apply easily for a home loan or home equity loan. See for yourself why CSB is Chippewa County's leading mortgage processor. Not a fan of waiting? No problem. Central Savings Bank offers instant issue debit cards. Switch today and experience old-fashioned customer service along with the latest banking trends. CSB's experts can also help you with the savings plan and retirement investing. With IRAs and CDs, they'll assist you in making the best choice for you. Get started by visiting one of their 9 locations today. Bank with the best. Bank with Central Savings Bank.
Central Savings Bank. Ask what we can do for you.
Your New Year's resolution of upgrading your ride just came true. Soo Motors on 3 Mile has slashed prices on remaining 2019s in stock. They're now priced at dealer cost, plus qualifying rebates. Your choice of Ford Escape, Edge, Expedition, Ranger, and the award-winning F-150. Here's one resolution you can keep: an affordable new ride from Soo Motors. Talk with Miranda, Ken, Robert, Dave, or Don today at Soo Motors on 3 Mile.
You can catch podcasts of the game at thegamesportshow.com. Now let's get back to it with Scott Nason here on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Continuing the local sports discussion with Dave McCaig. Coming up at 6:40, we're expected to be joined by Butch Davis from Butch on Sports, who will give us his perspective on everything going on in the regional sports world and other sports. And Dave, let's get to the NOJHL, the Sioux Thunderbirds, a very busy week. Over the past few days, they actually had 4 games, including a couple makeup games this past week. Starting on Tuesday, they defeated Espanola. Again, another close game by the score of 2-1. Then the Thunderbirds defeat Elliott Lake at home by the score of 7-0. Dakota Meyer, he had 31 saves in that one for the Thunderbirds. Then they would have a home and home against the Blind River Beavers, and Sam Avola got the shutout on Friday at the John Rhodes Community Center, improving to 7-1 as a starter since joining the Thunderbirds, as the T-Birds defeat Blind River 4-0 and finally would lose on Saturday at Blind River by the score of 6-3. So the Thunderbirds right now, Dave, looks like they are pretty locked into that 3rd spot. They're currently 7 points ahead of the Sioux Thunderbirds, still within reach of Blind River and Rayside Balfour, who are tied for 1st in the West, but it's going to take quite a streak to get there. Your thoughts on the Thunderbirds? It took a while for this outfit to get going, but they're playing pretty well right now.
This is a team that you do not want to play in the first round. I'm telling you right now, not just because I live in Sioux, Ontario, or because I'm a previous Thunderbird in my day. Just telling you right now, this is a team that made some changes throughout the season to improve this organization. And at the end of the day, you have a team that truly isn't a 3rd place team on paper. All due respect to Blind River and to Rayside, obviously, especially with Blind River, my heart truly lies in Blind River, as a lot of people know, and here in Sioux Manchester, all 3 teams, because we all know where I played. But at the end of the day, you have a team in Blind River that I think does belong on that number 1 seed. But I think Rayside, Thunderbirds, even the Eagles, I think there's a lot of equal talent there between the 3 teams. Okay, I think Blind River's a little bit a step ahead. I'm going to be flat out honest, especially with their goal scoring ability, with Sayre being one of the top scorers not only in the league,
48 goals or something,
but being
crazy.
the top scorer in all of Canadian junior hockey. Okay,
45.
So you have a team with the Thunderbirds though that's rolling right now. I feel like the momentum's high. They had to split that home and home against Blind River. I think that's successful. That when you split that home and home, I really feel that if you can go against a top team in your division, and you can take 2 out of a possible 4 points in a home and home in a season, I consider that success. Sure, you'd like to be 2-0 against them, but use that as a measuring stick that, you know what, maybe in a 7-game series, we split games, you're going 7 games against a good team. So at the end of the day, this is going to be a divisional playoff where the 1-4s are going to, I can't predict who wins, Scotty. I literally, if someone said, Dave, who are you going to pick? I don't know who to pick. I'm being totally honest with you. I'm sorry, Blind River, Rayside, Eagles, and Thunderbirds. I really don't know who I'm picking because it's going to be so exciting nonetheless to come down. The teams, I think, are so even and different in so many ways.
And the thing about these 4 teams is they all have very good goaltenders that can really get hot and make a run. You look at Brancato with the Eagles, Avola, he's doing with the Thunderbirds now. Bowen with the Rayside Balfour. I mean, this guy has proven it in the playoffs, and Jelly has played well with Blind River. So you look at a hot goalie maybe as the one separating factor of the four teams. I don't think you can. Right now, it's Blind River and Rayside tied for first, 68 points. Thunderbirds 9 points behind them. Again, they still could catch them, but there's only 9 or 10 games left, so that's looking unlikely. So it looks like how the playoffs right now, Dave, again, this can change, but right now it looks like that 4-5 matchup will be the Eagles and Espanola Express. The Eagles 7 points behind the Thunderbirds. They do play them twice, so they could, when you play teams, you have a chance to catch them. And they also play Elliott Lake a few times in Espanola, and those two teams did play this weekend at the Polar, and it was a 3-2 victory for the Sioux Eagles over Espanola on Friday night. Dominic Scarella getting his 20th of the season, a power play goal to lift the Eagles to the victory. So right now, you would have Blind River and the Thunderbirds playing in that semifinal series, and Rayside would take on the winner of the Sioux Eagles and Espanola Express. And I've said this for a while, Dave. I'm going to say it again. You can't just write in the Eagles or any of the fourth-place teams against that Espanola team. This is a team that's going to be in the playoffs for the first time in a while, and they are not an easy out.
They're not. They're feisty. Watch those teams. The big thing in the playoffs, people say, defense wins championships. Then people say goaltending wins championships. Oh, high-scoring, high-octane offense wins championships. No one can really decide. And I'll tell you, in my opinion, wins championships. Goalies that can steal a game, but it's that third pairing and the third and fourth lines of teams that are going to win you championships. So that is what's going to be imperative in the NOJHL playoffs and any kind of hockey playoffs. If you have your depth players getting goals, I like to say your bottom six. I really don't like that term. Your depth players providing you either offense or big moments in the game on the penalty kill. That is where these are going to be really big games. And that's where teams like Espanola, they have a full team that are not only just talented, but that are hard working, just like all the other teams are, like the Eagles, the Birds, Beavers, and Rayside. But at the end of the day, the goaltender, you brought up David Bowen. That is my top goalie right now going in. I'm being flat out honest. And honestly, if you can get past the goaltending and get the goaltending rattled, that is what's going to be successful for all these teams.
Dave, wanted to get to this here. There was a report last week by the Northern Ontario Hockey Association talking about what they say has been a major concern for them. The number of misconduct penalties for discriminatory slurs has more than quadrupled from last season. This according to NOHA Executive Director Jason Marchant. 17 penalties have been dished out during the season, as according to his report, with still 2 months of hockey to go. Marchant says a misconduct penalty is assessed to any player or team official who engages in verbal taunts, insults, or intimidation based on discriminatory grounds such as race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or language. The details of each incident are then reported to the association's president. Marchant says that the penalty is indefinite suspension. Traditionally, it's 3 or 4 games, but it's gone up recently due to the significant increase in the amount of penalties. Now, Marchant admits not every incident gets a hearing due to the limitations of the association's volunteer base, but he's reissued a warning to its members to inform coaches and players about the consequences of discriminatory slurs. According to Marchant, they issued one in November, but some people, he claims or says, did not receive the memo. He says it's disturbing that misconduct penalties for discriminatory slurs have become among the most common misconduct penalties reported during minor hockey games. It's very concerning, according to Marchant. We have to get the message out there that this type of behavior on or off the ice isn't acceptable, and there will be consequences. Now, Dave, as somebody that's grown up through that association, I'm not just saying this is a Northern Ontario thing. No, this is unfortunately everywhere in all aspects of life. Yep. But it seems like hockey, it seems to come up a lot over the years. And I just wanted your thoughts on this. I mean, obviously it's 2020. You would hope that this kind of nonsense is gone, but obviously it's not.
You know what? I'll be very careful how I say it because I'm a 90s baby, okay? And my generation was brought up in the era of hockey where it was still a tough guys game at the edge of the 80s, but chirping was huge. Mm-hmm. Okay, now a lot of us 90s babies are fathers, okay, or mothers, okay? So we are big followers of the modern hockey era, which there's a lot of influential figures out there who have shows much like ourselves, or that are figures into the public eye. But also our youth has access to much media in terms of phones, computers, in terms of Instagram, Facebook, everything of such. And who are they following? They're following individuals like myself and Scott, which we got an appropriate show. I want to make sure I stress that. But obviously there's other shows out there and other videos that they hear where there's shows that have clips of game tape of professional hockey players saying rude things to each other, no less. You never hear racial. That's one thing that you never hear in the National Hockey League. You hear a lot of name calling, let's say. But I think what's really affecting the minor hockey area is that access to that technology and seeing these videos, them getting mad, not being able to control, which then at the time, people look at the coach and say, what kind of locker room you're running? But it's really not the youth coach's problem. These youth coaches are taking time out of their day for $0. They add a zero to their check at the end of each week. Those coaches, all right, they get paid nada.
I got to be completely honest. I don't know how anybody coaches hockey on either side of the border.
I hear you.
Because I would never do it. And my kids play basketball, and and whenever, people that coach, my oldest son plays basketball, and I always make it a point to always, tell the coach during the season and after the season, hey, you know what? Thank you for taking the time out, because they don't hear that enough.
Never.
They only hear the negative. Why is my kid doing this? Why is my kid doing that? And so again, all the coaches out there, and this goes in Sioux, Ontario, Sioux, Michigan, and all around, I wouldn't do it. I don't know how you do it.
God bless you.
And I'll just say it then. Continue, Dave.
Like I said, I made sure I didn't get into youth hockey. I coached 1 year and a half of junior. And that's the reason why I got into junior was, yes, I was lucky, but at the same time, because I don't think I'd be able to coach youth. I can teach youth and skating, but coaching's different. And the Minor Hockey Association, what I was saying, is that the youth have access to so many of those YouTube clips where you have Drew Doughty is big for it. And I'm not throwing Drew Doughty on the bus, but I'm saying he's had a lot of confrontations with Matt Tkachuk. Seems like everyone's having confrontations with Matt Tkachuk.
It's pretty popular these days.
There is, but there's a lot of videos out there about their back and forth chirping, fighting. Then you can read their lips. They're giving each other signs. They're doing things. The youth sees this. So that when they're heated in the moment and their helmets off, they're putting their hair back, slicking it back, and they're saying
they want to be the next YouTube clip.
They want exactly, and that's where I think it's a little bit of an effect on this, because the filter is not there in the youth generation where it was when I was younger. Sort of, that's where it started kind of drilling out. But the respect for opponents is not as much, it seems, anymore. Which, no offense, needs to change. When you're on the ice, be competitive. Show that testosterone if you're a male, or even if you're a female, get all into it. Get excited to play. But don't look at someone if they're of another ethnicity, another orientation, if they're like sexual comments, stuff like that. You don't have to chirp someone because of their gender or their sexuality choice. Nothing like that. Okay, to say you're dust. You're brutal. To say stuff like that, something funny that'll make them stay home, because you start saying those kind of terms, you're getting kicked out, you're getting your team fired, you're getting a bad reputation on yourself. You're not learning anything in youth hockey. Youth hockey was so big in my life and a lot of other people's life because it made me social. A lot of my friends today, it sure did. A lot of my friends today are because I play played or play hockey with them. So that's the type of sport here in Canada, which makes it beautiful, and also in the States. It's growing more in the States. I think in Canada we got a little edge on the popularity side, but it's so big in our lives. And the figures that play in the big leagues, they have such a big impact on your on the youth. The leaders that I remember: Steve Yzerman, Wayne Gretzky, Sidney Crosby. These were leaders that you didn't see a lot of this. Now you get a lot of youthful leaders that get frustrated, banging sticks, yelling at refs. It's a different league. It's a different kind of generation. But hockey is so big in a youth social life where they might not make the big leagues, okay? Every kid wants to make the pros, and you might not. Unfortunately, you might not. But you know what? If you can gain talent out of hockey, or at least gain friendships and memories, that's all that matters. You need to go on the ice to be known as that player who flipped off somebody because of a different race, or called somebody out on their sexuality choice. Anything like that. I know when you're in the moment, I get it. I've been there, and I've said a few things bad in games. I have. I'm not going to repeat what those are.
Please don't.
They're basically around this. I've done it.
The FCC and all that.
Yeah, you learn. You learn very tightly. I got in trouble with it when I played. So hopefully when someone does it once, they learn. But the league needs to come up with a plan. All the leagues, not just Sioux Ontario, Sioux Michigan, Northern Ontario. Every league somehow has to come together and come up with a plan to help train the coaches, Train the players, train the parents, put money into that youth and into the youth program so you can support them and maybe they can control themselves in these situations. Because what are they going to do when they get mad in real life adult situations? That is just where the teaching points of hockey and sports are. And it's very unfortunate that you see this, because it just takes away from the game. Hockey is not known to where you go out there and chirp somebody and downgrade someone underneath you. Hockey is to go out there and have fun, or
That's what Twitter's for.
or exactly, or just go out there to learn and be a better person, or just win a trophy or win something with your friends. There's a lot of reasons why you play hockey, and that's not one of them.
Well, and the other thing, Dave, just to wrap this up, is, you a 90s baby, me not so 90s baby, but back then,
2000s baby, right?
Yeah, something like that. But again, instant information. Everything is instant. You have a lapse in judgment, there's 50,000 phones recording it. And so everything's out there. These things happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, but
never heard of
technology, you never heard of it. Or maybe the people there, it never is. So yeah, you're only one keystroke away from really getting yourself in trouble these days. And you just got to be careful out there. A few other things, Dave, here, local sports wise, some high school basketball from this past week. Boys games Monday night, Pickford over the Sioux, 50-49. You also had Cedarville lose to Sioux High in boys basketball, 42-39 on Wednesday. Pickford over Pelston on Wednesday, 56-37. Lots of games canceled this past week. Schools closed all over the place due to illness. I don't think it was the coronavirus, thankfully, but maybe it was too many coronas in some cases. But there's flus, there's everything going on. So a lot of makeup games. One game this weekend in boys basketball, Escanaba defeats Sioux High by the score of 54-45. Girls basketball, the Sioux High girls had a very successful week. They won at Marquette on Monday, 57-46. They were scheduled to play in Brimley on Thursday. That one canceled as well. And then a big win at home Friday by the score of 78-27. The Blue Devils 11-1 on the season. They'll be at home, actually, they'll be at Brimley on Tuesday in that makeup game and then take on St. Ignace Thursday night. You can hear both those games over on 1230 WSOO with Dave Watson. Some other local sports here. Laker basketball on the road this weekend. They were at Wayne State on Thursday night. The men with a 74-73 win. The women fall 79-53. Both teams were at Ashland on Saturday. The men fall to the Eagles 81-66. The women lose to the number 2 ranked team in the country, Ashland 99-34. Laker men's and women's basketball will be at home this weekend. They'll take on Northwood on Thursday and then at Saginaw Valley on Saturday. You can hear all 4 games right here with David John on ESPN 1400. The Thursday game starts with the women at 5:30. Then the men will follow. Saturday, the women will start at 1 with the men to follow. Laker hockey on the road falls in an exhibition game to the U.S. under-18 team in a shootout by the score of 5-4. Lakers will get back into WCHA action this Friday and Saturday as they will travel to Michigan Tech to take on the Huskies. 7 o'clock on Friday, a 5 o'clock start on Saturday. You can hear both those games over on Yes FM with, I believe, Bill Crawford doing the call. And Dave, I know you were there Saturday, baby. I-500. Did you go?
I did not.
I did not
unfortunately.
Either. But I did listen to some of the broadcasts with Mark St. Angelo and his crew over on 1230 WSOO. It was a long race. And bunkie racing.
500 miles?
Something like that. 500 laps. Bunkie racing wins as they, Aaron Christensen ran the final 65 laps. I believe it was Gabe Bunkie maybe that ran the first few laps. I don't know how that works. Can you change drivers in NASCAR?
No, I don't think so.
I guess you can in snow. Apparently you can in snow. No, I don't think so.
I don't think you change that. No, yeah, you can't. There's no way, but maybe a snow machine you can.
So as you know, Dave, the Polaris, did you have Polaris, Yamaha, or Hyundai in that race?
I had the one that had the Game Sports Show logo on it, whatever that one was.
Sure which one that was. So anyway, a little I-500. So that's the first time I've ever reported an I-500. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever had an I-500.
I love giving that coverage. That's great. People maybe below, like in our comment area when we upload the show, don't hesitate to give us some more feedback with things, A, that you want to hear, but secondly, if we anything else the I-500, provide that. I'll make sure I get into more detail with it this week on other shows if you'd like.
That broadcast went from 9 o'clock to almost 7. That's a long day at the
Did
office.
Mark take a nap?
No. Mark did the whole thing along with.
I wonder how you stayed awake.
Well, he had a lot of guys there. A lot of guys doing.
Did he get behind? Did he get behind there or what?
I'm not sure. Dave, we're expected to be joined by Butch Davis. Maybe you can join us for the Super Bowl portion of that call. But I wanted to make sure we get your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week in case we get a little mixed up and can't get to it. So what do you got? You got the floor.
I'm going to go thumbs down to something that I said at the beginning of the show. I said Alex Farmerton with the London Knights. I actually meant to say Connor McMichael. Okay, Farmerton does not play for the London Knights anymore, and I want everyone to know that. I made a quite little boo-boo there, like I told Scott off air in our first break, and I said that would bother me. So I want to make sure I get that correction. So that's my only kind of thumbs down. Okay, that's the only thumbs down that I'm giving is towards what I did on the show. Okay, I want to keep things positive, and I got 2 thumbs up. I'm going to go to the halftime show and just the Super Bowl in general. It's just fantastic.
It's a good show.
It's great.
Did you know it was Miami Gardens until? Why do they keep calling it Miami Gardens? Did you know it's Joe Buck or Jack Buck, whichever Buck it is?
No, Joe Buck. Is it Joe? Is it Joe?
Joe.
Is it
Jack,
Joe Buck?
Jack was his dad.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Do you like Joe Buck? Because he gets a lot of flack. What's your thoughts on Joe Buck?
Mixed emotions. I know he wasn't a Blue Jay fan that time when they played against Texas, aka the bat flip. But
I agree with him on that one.
Nonetheless, get the name right. I don't think it was called the Miami. I don't know. I know I'm sounding silly if I don't know.
Well, when they came back, it was back at Hard Rock Stadium at Miami Gardens. I mean, that's technically the name, but
that's what it was. It was the Hard Rock. That's
I know
right.
Busch Gardens.
But at the end of the day, what do I feel about
Gardens.
Buck? I feel that he's good, but at times he's not good. Like, I just say it that way.
I thought Aikman was a little off last night.
A little bit. You know who I want to see in that booth? I know maybe they can't, but like for some reason I want to see Tony Romo. Like,
he's the best.
Like he is fantastic.
And I couldn't stand him at first.
No, he's great.
Boy, his passion. You can't fake that.
No,
he loves the game.
Get Madden and Romo in the same booth. I feel like you'd have a heck of a time. That's my prediction.
I like it.
But thumbs up overall to the Super Bowl. And another thumbs up that I will give is, I can't believe I'm really doing this, but things have really turned around in Toronto Maple Leaf land. So I'm going to give a thumbs up to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And also overall, I want to give a shout out. So I guess I have 3 thumbs up to the Los Angeles Lakers organization. Kobe Bryant, the tribute on Friday. Our good friends here at ESPN had a nice tribute that they put online with Michael B. Jordan doing some narration. But overall, Kobe Bryant's tribute with LeBron James, I loved it when he said, I ain't going to write on a speech.
He did a great job. He did an absolutely fantastic
Usher did a great job. Boys to Men singing the anthem. The guy on the cello did great. The video overall was great. So I got all positives, all thumbs up, despite the absolute tragedy that was and how saddened everyone was. One of my childhood heroes. It's definitely great to see how LA responded and how the world came together.
Well, Dave, appreciate you coming over, joining our show. Again, you can find Dave McCaig on our brand new website, thegamesportshow.com. He does shows on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can catch them all there, or the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Dave, enjoy the rest of your night, my friend. We got Butch Davis waiting in the wings, and we will talk to you next week for our next edition of the game, my friend.
Sounds good. And thank you again to Aaron Robinson with that new website. Fantastic.
It looks great. Thank you indeed, Aaron. We're going to take a break here on the game. As I mentioned, our next guest is waiting. Butch Davis will join us from Butch on Sports. That's coming up next on the game here on ESPN 1400.
Bought a new car last year, totaled it this year, and when your insurance company replaced it, they neglected to replace all of it. Your replacement didn't include a back seat, or bumpers, or a steering wheel. Kind of what it feels like when you make an auto insurance claim and your claim check is for a lot less than what you paid for your car. Dean Garlinghouse and Farm Bureau don't think that's exactly fair, so they've introduced a replacement coverage option. Buy a new car and total it in the first 3 years. You get a new vehicle, no depreciation. Auto insurance replacement coverage with competitive rates on homeowners and farm owners insurance from Michigan's insurance company, insuring Michigan autos, homes, farms, and businesses. Talk with Dean and the folks at Farm Bureau Insurance today at the corner of 8th and Ashman in the Soo, or give Dean a call at 635-7250. Dean Garlinghouse at Farm Bureau Insurance.
Hurry into Das Gift House and see their huge variety of gifts. Pick up a free Shopper's Reward card and search Das for special gifts priced right. You'll find LSSU apparel, Minnetonka slippers and moccasins at 25% off. Pet lover gifts, Willow Tree figurines, Silver Forest earrings, and Up North jewelry. Whether you're shopping for birthday, anniversary, retirement, baby, memorial, or just because gifts, you're sure to find it at Das Gift House. Best of all, Das Gift House winter clearance sales in progress. Take 25% to 50% off select gifts throughout the store. And it's back. Fudge Deluxe Fudge. Das Gift House in the Soo at the corner of West Portage Avenue and Osborne Boulevard, across from the Soo Locks. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to at least 6:31 p.m. That's right, Saturday too, from 9:30 to 6:31 p.m. Sunday, 9:30 to 5:31 p.m. Always beautiful free gift wrapping. Shop Das Gift House.
Hi, this is Scott from Parker Ace Hardware. At Ace, we make painting a simple pleasure. Ask one of our friendly, knowledgeable Ace associates about our Ace Royal Paint, a high-quality paint at a price you'll love. You'll find Ace Royal Paint starting at an everyday low price of just $19.99 a gallon. It's another reason why, from a simple start to a fabulous finish, Parker Ace can help make your next painting project perfect. Parker Ace, the helpful place. Stop by Parker Ace Hardware. We're looking forward to serving you real soon.
Stop by Parker Ace Hardware at 819 Ashman, downtown Sioux, Michigan.
Let's get back to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Let's get back to the game on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. 6:44 on this Monday night. Want to thank our co-host and good friend Dave McCaig for coming over. And joining us right now is our next co-host, guest, and good friend, Butch Davis, who joins us each and every week from the Metro Detroit area to talk about, well, not just Detroit sports, but the world of sports. You can find his show, Butch on Sports, on his podcast page, Simply Butch 2, that's TOO.podomatic.com, or go to thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com to find each and every edition of Butch on Sports, brand new one from last night, talking about the Super Bowl, which we will in a moment. Butch, how you doing on this Monday night, my friend?
Oh, boy, just ain't enough hours in the world here, man, but I'm doing okay.
Well, Butch, let's start with the Super Bowl. We talked about that off the jump with Dave, and I just want to get your thoughts overall on not just the game, but the overall Super Bowl experience, starting with the pregame show, the halftimes, the commercials, the game, obviously, I think lived up to a lot of the hype. Patrick Mahomes showing at a very young age that he is one of the best in the game, if not maybe the best at the quarterback position right now. Your thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs winning their first Super Bowl in 50 years, and just overall what you thought about the Super Bowl? It's a lot there.
Yeah, right. I thought of the game itself, I thought great of the game there. I don't go and get all wrapped up in the hype that surrounds the Super Bowl. I am subjected to the game and the game itself there, although I did see a little bit of the pregame. That was okay there, I guess for the crowd or whatever it may be, you're in the crowd and you're waiting to be entertained while you wait for the big event. That would be thoroughly great. The introduction of the 100 or these so-called men in the Hall of Fame, that was pretty doggone, pretty good.
That's great.
I enjoyed that. The game itself is like somebody didn't tell you so, but they told you so. You didn't think that San Francisco would get a lead again for the third time. This team is behind. For this team to come back within the amount of time they had left, which all this hit the fan about 6:13 of the fourth quarter when Kansas City scored their 21 unanswered points there. Is a thing of beauty, but it's something that they have been doing majority of the year to many of their opponents. And in this case, the three playoff games they played, they all came from behind and ended up winning by a nice little substantial margin there. And you just can't get away from that there. San Francisco's defense for 3 quarters and a half was doing the job. But again, Kansas City found a way of throwing some packages together of things that were not working earlier in the game when they had on and was working in that 6:13 period there. So Surprised, but not surprised. Good, very good game from top to bottom. That I thought the post game and all the hoopla that went with that. You expect it, but again, it was a well-deserving win for the Kansas City Chiefs. They deserved to win. They deserved to win, and San Francisco, as much as you don't want to say it, they lose.
They did, Butch. And, talking about Patrick Mahomes, and we were talking about this with Dave earlier, just what he's doing at such a young age. And I think, I guess if there's one word that I would describe Mahomes in his brief but pretty darn illustrious career so far, is his resolve. I mean, he just has that competitive nature. Obviously we're talked a lot about Kobe Bryant over the past week. Am I comparing him to Kobe? Not quite yet, because he's only played a few years, but he just has that resolve out there. I mean, you look at where he was in that game. I mean, throwing a couple interceptions, making some bad decisions, maybe pressing a bit in the third quarter, and then he got it all right. And he just seems to have a knack to make those plays, avoid those sacks, make those split-second decisions that, quarterbacks maybe that have 10, 12 years in the league maybe don't even make at that point. So this guy's something special, isn't he?
Well, something special indeed, but I think you hit it right on the head. The two things that Kobe Bryant and this young man had is that they had a parent played some type of major league ball.
Right.
Kobe's father playing basketball, and again, this young man's father playing baseball. Well, they had that exposure of being able to be around players, know certain things that they need to do to prepare themselves. My son is the same way. Me taking him around a lot of major league players, some locker rooms or whatever it may be, he has that same demeanor that, not to give up, not to panic. He has that to this day, and these young men had it very well instilled in them. They knew not to panic, and he hasn't. They knew the only way it's going to get done is to try a little harder and to move a little faster and jump a little higher. And they did that. And I think that's a big push given, because they did have parents in the game in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Same as your children will probably react, because you've been around the game. You know what is supposed to happen. You know how to prepare, in anything you do in order for it to be a success. If you do a basketball game, you just don't go in there and talk. You prepare for it. You find out what's going on the other team. You have things to talk about in order to entertain the audience and entertain the audience properly. And these young men know how to do that.
Butch, speaking of entertaining the audience, I want your thoughts, and I know you don't focus as much on the hoopla, but I got to ask you, halftime show, what did you think?
I didn't watch it.
Oh, Butch, you're killing me. It was Shakira and Jennifer Lopez.
I heard about the 8-pack. I heard about that. And I heard about some pole or something somebody was dangling on there. I heard about that, but no, I didn't watch it at all.
Butch is strictly business, focusing on the game, and that's why we love him.
Business, but we found other things to do during that halftime extravaganza there. That was a little bit more, comfortable, I should say.
I got you. Now I know where you're going with this. It took me a second to follow you on that one. Butch, we won't waste our time talking about the Lions this week. Let's move on to the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons in action tonight, right after our broadcast. They'll be tipping off in Memphis, as taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. One of the better performances yesterday for the Pistons at home. Lost in the Super Bowl shuffle was the Pistons winning at home by the score of 128-123. But Butch, the trade deadline looms large for the NBA and specifically the Detroit Pistons. I know Derrick Rose, not in the lineup, I believe, tonight. Andre Drummond. What are your thoughts on the Pistons heading into this trade deadline?
Well, you get that feeling that someone or a couple or maybe three are going to be moved before that trade deadline approaches us, or on maybe the very exact time. But the Pistons, again, to me, they were showing off, not for the world per se, but whoever who were pertaining to watch the game. They did a magnificent job coming back in the game and playing coming from behind, especially in that first quarter there when Denver was just lights out there. Djokovic, he is something, a piece of work here. I just put it that way there, as he had a triple-double yesterday there that I witnessed. Also witnessed the Toronto game this weekend. Pistons young players are growing up quicker. It was the best game for Bruce Brown by far. He was 2 assists away from a triple-double there. And he came off the bench, for Christ's sake. Absolutely great job on his behalf there. It's very hard to puzzle, but you can tell some of them are getting some training. Some of them are growing up. And some of them know that whatever comes about this week, someone's going to have to step up quick, fast, in a hurry and get a job done.
Again, the Pistons in action right here on ESPN at 1400, 8 o'clock tip-off against Memphis. We'll have that broadcast with Mark Champion and Rick Mahorn right after the game. Butch, let's move on to the Detroit Red Wings, a little more competitive Wings after the All-Star break, losing a pair of games to the New York Rangers. The Wings losing on Saturday by the score of, I believe, 1-0. That one was at home. They also lost 4-2 at the Rangers. They're in action tonight over on 1230 WSOO. That one starting here in about a half hour, taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Butch, Wings a little more competitive, but obviously still struggling on the ice. What are your thoughts on their progress here as they, play out the season?
Well, a lot more competitive, Scott. However, again, the small problems arise of the defense will come together quicker than not there, and that's been a huge problem there. Even for that one goal that went on in there, just think if you had some proper defensemen doing their jobs to kind of clear things away, would that goal would have happened there? It's kind of mind-boggling there, but again, a Red Wings team still growing up, still getting them pains together there. You can tell also with that particular team, there might be some players who are going to be disappearing sooner than later, but there's going to have to be some players, youth that is stepping up a great deal in order to get clear and make this season somewhat a successful one.
Butch, moving on to the Detroit Tigers, was announced today, or going to be announced this week, that the Tigers will be playing a spring training game in the Dominican Republic. This will be the first game played there since 2000. The Tigers have several players born in the Dominican Republic, adding it to their spring training season, which will start here, believe it or not, in a matter of weeks. Tigers playing in Dominican Republic. What do you think of that? That's all I had on the Tigers.
About it, but again, it's something that they're going to play. Apparently, Major League Baseball think it's safe to go over to the Dominican in there and be able to perform in front of the Dominican folks there. So far, so good. This has been something from what I have, been told from the Tigers brass. They've been planning for like 9 months now here, and a lot of things had to be cleared away in order for this to come about. But again, Major League Baseball wanted to kind of shine in the Dominican Republic. I was just hoping that I'm glad it wasn't Venezuela, because it really would be news here.
Yeah.
But, the Dominican Republic is close enough. They'll be able to get in there. They'll be able to talk to some kids, sign some autographs. There'll be some people to be able to touch some Major League Baseball players that they haven't touched in a long time, including some who may not had came back to the Dominican Republic for reasons be there. But again, it should be some homecoming indeed for many of the Tiger players who have connections in the Dominican Republic.
Butch, we got about 2 minutes before we hit the top of the hour break. We're expected to be joined by EJ Russell in hour 2, along with yourself and yours truly. Any other regional or local sports you wanted to talk about here before we hit the top of the hour break?
That's a hard one.
Tough questions.
It really is. It's really hard one to kick in indeed. We forget this is about the last month for high school basketball, women and the young men alike. In less than 3 weeks, we'll be picking and choosing, or else everyone will be knowing where they're going to take part in the playoff there that kind of strings itself along in March, along with the college and whatnot. So we're going to see a lot more competitive games throughout the week, the months per se, getting prepared for this particular there, and invite their friends to get out there and take part with those young kids and view some games there.
Yeah, we're going to have lots of March Madness on our airwaves, Soo High boys and girls basketball. Again, the girls will start the districts here at the end of the month in about 3 weeks or so. The boys will start a week after. You have high school hockey, and then we haven't even talked about the college basketball March Madness as we approach it there. The Big Ten, some bracketologists say they could get as many as 10 teams in the big dance, but well, we'll just have to see what happens there. Butch Davis joining us on the game again. Butch is going to be joining us in hour 2. You can hear his podcast of Butch on Sports on his podcast page. Simply Butch2. That's too.podomatic.com, or go to our website, thegamesportshow.com, or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Butch, we're going to take our top of the hour break. We're hoping to be connected to EJ Russell, and we'll be back for the second hour of the game. So stand by. We'll be back to you here in a few seconds.
Alrighty.
All right, that's going to do it for hour 1 here on the game. Don't go anywhere, though. We have another hour of sports talk, comment, and all sorts of tomfoolery. You're listening to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. You're listening to The Game on ESPN 1400.
Side Street Salon can offer you a new you. It's easier than a new wardrobe and a lot less expensive. Get your new look at Side Street Salon. Highlights, perms, and a host of professional full salon services make a big difference, especially with Kenra and Paul Mitchell products. Look and feel great long after your visit to Side Street. Bring the whole family for cuts and styles to Side Street Salon on Spruce at the corner of Court Street, Sioux, Michigan. Gift certificates available and walk-ins are welcome.
Hi, this is Andrew Miller, manager of Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies. Accidents like a fall on the ice can happen at any time. Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies has the items you need to help you through the healing process. We offer crutches, bracing, wheelchairs, walkers, hospital beds, and bath aids. Helping our customers, from children to senior citizens, remain independent is our goal.
Quality patient care has been the foundation of Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies. Being locally owned and operated ensures that they strive towards the best for our community.
Our trained and certified staff has many years of experience and is ready to meet your individual needs. Give us a call or stop in to see how we can help you. And don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook and check out our new website at arfstrompharmacy.com.
Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies is part of Arfstrom Pharmacy, a locally owned Health Mart pharmacy, ACHC accredited, located on the corner of Ashman and Spruce, downtown Sioux, Michigan.
Come down to Arfstrom Pharmacy and Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies for your prescription medications and medical equipment needs. Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
Now's the time of the year to get more for your money on a new Mahindra, the world's #1 selling farm tractor. Enjoy 0% financing on select Mahindra tractors. That's more for less on Mahindra's best-selling models. We deliver more lift, better fuel efficiency, and more built-in weight. Paul Thompson here with Gaylor Thompson Sales. Come on in and test drive a new Mahindra today. And remember, we also carry a full line of Boss plows, Cub Cadet, Woods implements, X-Mark mowers, Echo Power equipment, and Doolittle trailers. Give us a call today at 906-478-3026. And remember, I-75, exit 373 in Rudyard for the best service in the EUP.
Mo at M&C Water Systems has a solution for all your water needs. Want clean, fresh drinking water? M&C Water Systems proudly distributes natural artesian water for all your bottled water needs. Cooler rental and bottled water delivery for your home and office are available. M&C Water Systems delivers to all the local islands too. Need a water filter? M&C has them. Need a softener? Drinking water system? Want to find out about reverse osmosis? Call Mo at M&C Water Systems today at 906-647-7307. Serving the Eastern Upper Peninsula for over 25 years.
Let's get to the second half of the game here on ESPN 1400 WKNW, Sault Ste. Marie's sports leader. It's the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Now, here's Scott Nason.
And welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400. Also heard online at our brand new website. Same address, new site, thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason with you on this Monday night, 7:03 here on the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, The Game. Want to thank our co-host Dave McCaig for joining us in hour one. He's off to watch the Leafs game with some of his pals or chums, if you will. We're continuing to be joined by Butch Davis from Butch on Sports for the entire hour two, and we're joined right now by our fourth member of the Four Horsemen of the Game, EJ Russell.
Yo.
Who joins us from Escanaba, Michigan, each and every week. Now, EJ, I'm not saying that you're the fourth member. I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no ranking system here. How you doing tonight on this first Monday in February, and welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Obviously, following up a very exciting day in sports. And that's okay if you rank me fourth. I was the fourth edition. So
that's true.
Happy to be part of the team. And as always, excited to dive right into it with you guys.
Well, EJ, before we get to the round table, I want to throw this out to you because we've all had a chance to comment on Super Bowl 54, the Kansas City Chiefs, a 31-20 win over San Francisco. And if you would have turned that game on with about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I don't think you would have predicted that being the final score. Patrick Mahomes, he's got an MVP for regular season. Now he has a Super Bowl MVP and a world title. First one in 50 years for the Chiefs. I just want your thoughts, obviously, on the game, but we've also talked about the entire Super Bowl experience. And so the floor is yours, EJ, before we get to the round table tonight. Your thoughts on the big show from last night.
Well, first of all, I feel it's important to congratulate Andy Reid on his first title. It was 21 years as head coach in the National Football League, catching his first title. It's something to definitely be excited about. And he's run so many good teams. Unfortunately, he's fallen short in games like Super Bowl that he's playing against the Patriots. Fell short with a team with guys like Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, amongst many other guys, some of which are in the Hall of Fame or are going to be in the Hall of Fame. But I think what this game came down to, and I think it's important to point this out because usually we bring this up with Andy Reid, is clock management. But it wasn't Andy Reid that had the issues with clock management. It was Kyle Shanahan. And I think that there were some calls, the end of the second quarter, minute 30 something on the clock. Niners could have called a timeout, got the ball back in a good situation to potentially go down, drive, maybe get a field goal, go into halftime with a lead, decided they'd rather take the tie, didn't call the timeout. So I thought that was questionable. And then the other thing, play calling from Kyle Shanahan. In the fourth quarter, if you're the Niners and you're in a tight game, they had a situation where they had a 3-and-out, and I can't remember the time on the clock. But they went run, pass. Why are you passing the ball? You have the lead. You have one of the best rushing attacks in the National Football League. It's a team that averaged 6.4 yards per rush last in the Super Bowl. I mean, 6.4 yards per rush. That's insane. More than it was 2 yards per carry, 2 yards per rush, more than the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think what they did extremely well is they played disciplined football. They maintained the ball, possessed it for about 6 more minutes than the San Francisco 49ers. But for the Niners, I think the part that really killed them was in their 5 penalties, they were penalized for 45 yards. In the Chiefs' 4 penalties, only 24 yards. Okay. I mean, the game's tight the whole way. You go and you look at the rest of this, 13 first downs for each team, mediocre efficiency on third down. But between their total yards, it was close. Between the total number of drives, 10 apiece, it was close. Total yards per play. San Francisco actually won that. But the guy that found a way to help make sure his team won the game is Patrick Mahomes. And I think that he definitely played into what the strength of was for the 49ers, which is their defense and their ability to make the quarterback move around. Yes, they did get to Patrick Mahomes. Yes, they did hit him. And Nick Bosa had an absolutely great game. But Patrick Mahomes thrived in those mobility situations, and he found ways to win the game. All the credit in the world to their running game, finding a way to put that away at the end of the game there and really solidify it. And Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes both, you could see them on the sidelines yelling, "Finish the game." And a lot of credit to the leadership of a young quarterback. This is the youngest guy to have a Super Bowl MVP, and a league MVP trophy. And this is certainly not the last we're going to see of that. The 49ers, keep them on your radar, though. They've done all the right things. They have a young squad, a great rushing attack led by an awesome offensive line. Joe Staley is one of my favorite offensive linemen in the league. This is a guy that if you don't know who he is, watch his film. The guy's been absolutely fantastic left tackle position for quite a long time. Niners aren't down and out. They may have lost this game, but don't be surprised to see them chasing their 6th title here in the near future. But Kansas City Chiefs, man, I'll take them as my favorite next year. If Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can keep this mix together, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, Butch, your turn for the topic for the roundtable, but just a couple final thoughts on the Super Bowl. And I think EJ hit it on the head with Andy Reid. I mean, this guy, the old KG vet, and finally getting the big win in the Super Bowl, obviously just his second opportunity in recent memory. And I think one of the underrated players of that game was Damian Williams. And EJ alluded to the running game for Kansas City. I mean, you looked at what San Francisco did against Green Bay and in the playoffs, and Kansas City did a good job containing the run. They didn't exactly stop it, but they contained it. And I think Williams, he made some big plays, obviously getting the touchdown at the end, but he was, I think, the unsung hero of that game. And you got to give it up to the old vet there, Andy Reid, winning his first Super Bowl.
Well, I think the clap at the fan again, from where I looked at it is when Kansas City scored, making the score a little bit closer than what it was. I think it's 17-20 at that point in time. That's when San Francisco fell off the game plan that they had used for the residual of the game, and that was to run the ball consistently there, and also use passes that somewhat avert to them allowing the runner to run. And they didn't do that. They kind of fell in the pattern that, we got to get a little bit further ahead of Kansas City. Kansas City met that challenge. Matha was a great deal and had a great deal in doing that with the defense and inspiring them to hit and go out there and play some doggone good game. But they stopped them. They stopped them twice when necessarily a penalty should have stopped the whole doggone thing. They still, Kansas City, I'm saying, still went after it and still threw the ball back the hill. That's after a penalty was called, or he dropped the ball, I should say. Persistence is in the worry there, but I would say the persistence of Kansas City doing what they've done all year long versus San Francisco going away from that persistence and doing something maybe a lot differently rather than running the ball and play tough football was a huge key for Kansas City to do some of the things they did.
Butch, let's start the round table. Your turn to give us a topic. I will get first crack and then EJ. So, Butch Davis, what's on your mind tonight, post-Super Bowl edition of the game?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think here what I can kind of pick out of the breadbasket here, per se. I know there's going to be a lot of happy and sad people going around because now it's time for football, per se, to go around and start allowing these contracts to go through for trading starts. The draft comes around. I can think of a quarterback in Dallas that has not been signed. I can think of Mahomes maybe looking for a contract extension so he can be with Kansas City for a very long time. There's a lot of things there, but again, football after football, you can include the the XFL is involved there. I mean, what do you guys look at the next 2 to 3 months?
Yeah, Butch, obviously being a Detroit Lions fan, and you always look forward to maybe their Super Bowl, it seems, because it's the only one they have a chance at is a high pick in the NFL draft. And obviously this year they're in a unique situation with the third pick. It seems pretty much, I would say, assumed that you will see LSU's quarterback there go to Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, second player out of Ohio State. I think you're going to see him go to the second pick, who's the team escapes me, who has a second pick, but the third pick that the Lions own, I'm very interested to see in which direction they go. And I was having a nice conversation today with Dave Watson, one of our colleagues here who does the Sioux High games. He's a Cleveland Browns fan, as is EJ, so we all can yes, we all can be miserable together with our team. I guess I'm very interested to see what the Lions do with this pick. And, you know, me being an Alabama fan, would I love for them to take Tua? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? I just don't think so. But there may be some teams that might want to get that third pick to get the chance to take Tua. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I hope if the Lions do that they get some sort of ransom or a nice reward or a series of draft picks that obviously they'll probably go and screw up down the road, but that's okay because we Lions fans have hope. Hope springs eternal, but unfortunately reality sets in. Butch, you mentioned the XFL, and I was going to kind of throw this out there as my topic, but I guess we can kind of mix it in with this one since we're talking football post-NFL. Is there ever going to be a league that works other than the NFL in football? I mean, obviously we saw the American Alliance of Football. That one I think was rushed out a bit. Do I think the XFL has a chance to make it into year 2? Probably not. But what's it going to take to get a league like we once had? I don't know if you remember this, EJ, but the USFL back in the 80s had some decent teams. The Michigan Panthers, I believe, they won a championship back in the early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And you've seen these other leagues kind of float out there. I think at one point we had the World League of Football with my favorite team, the Scottish Claymores. That league lasted a few years, and I just don't know what it takes because the NFL is such a behemoth, and maybe people after the Super Bowl are kind of tired of football. Is that possible? I don't know. I'm throwing that out there. Personally, because I have a vested interest in one of my cousins playing for the New York Guardians, I hope the league is very successful, but I do have my doubts because we've seen time and time again when they've tried to make these other leagues, they haven't quite worked out so well. So, EJ, kind of an open-ended post-football topic, looking at the NFL over the next few months and maybe the XFL if you want to throw it in. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll say this. So let's start with the draft here. I think the top 2 picks are pretty much shoo-ins for Joe Burrow, a kid from Ohio. You know, grew up in Athens, not that far from Cincinnati. I see him going to the Bengals because that's a good fit for the quality of player. That's also a good fit for a guy to be home to do something like that, and your fans will love him. Chase Young going to the Washington Redskins, that I think is a shoo-in because I really believe that he's the second best player in the draft. But the third pick, which is the Lions, is the part that I'm most interested in seeing what they're doing. In my opinion, I think you have 2 moves that you make here. I think you can take Tua Tagovailoa, knowing that he's going to back up Matthew Stafford, which I think is an excellent position for him to be in. It's the guy coming off of an injury, a very significant injury that can learn behind a pro that has been doing it for such a long time, a guy that, you know, almost every year finishes statistically in the top 10 in almost every major category. This is a guy that, you know, even if he never wins a Super Bowl, might still get a Hall of Fame nod. I don't think that he will, but he's somebody that players and coaches and fans will definitely talk about. I think Tua would be a great pick for the Lions to give him an opportunity to sit behind him. But I think the next best player on the board after that is Ohio State cornerback Jeff Okudah. And this is a guy that's going to go to somebody in need of some defensive help. And I think he's plug and play ready for the NFL. I think that we've had some really good cornerbacks come into the league ready to go right off of the bat. You know, Tyrann Mathieu I thought was excellent coming out of the draft. Patrick Peterson was excellent coming out of the draft. Jalen Ramsey was excellent coming out of the draft. So cornerback is one of those positions that if you're athletic enough, and I believe that Jeff Okudah is, You can plug and play and insert him next to some of those other big names you have in that secondary play, and the other guys back there. I think that you can make yourself a very good defensive football team and then address your defensive line issues later. But I think you can really solidify your secondary by going with Okudah. But I think that the best fit, in my opinion, for the Detroit Lions in the draft would be to pick Tua early. If you think you can trade back for him, do it. Maybe a couple spots because he's not projected to go to anyone except Miami. And New York Giants are going to be taking a quarterback. You can slide back a spot, pick up an extra draft pick, take Tua there. I think that'd be a nice fit. As far as, can football work other than the NFL? I don't think as long as it doesn't try to be the NFL, I think it works. Scott, you brought up the USFL. That's a great rival league because they were able to get guys out of college. The biggest name that they got, our current president owned a team, and didn't he and his organization draft a guy named Herschel Walker?
I believe so.
One of the best college running backs of all time. I mean, the USFL was able to somewhat rival the NFL because of the level of talent that they had. Didn't they get Steve Young? Wasn't Steve Young in that league for a minute too? There were a lot of guys that went on to have success in the NFL that did start in the USFL, and I just don't see that for the XFL anymore. I think that the one thing that they could do to try to pump themselves up, put themselves in a better situation, is make it a minor league system. Make the XFL something that happens, after the football season, a shortened 8, 10, whatever their 9-game schedule, whatever they're running, and give these guys that weren't ready to go to the NFL a shot to prove that they're good enough. Don't bank on it getting 70,000 people like you get in these pro football teams. Set them up in smaller venues. Sell out the smaller crowds. I think that you can still get interest in spring football. I mean, how many colleges run spring football games everybody watches? Okay, it's possible it can happen. But I do think at this point in the year, you start to get burnout on football. But if you start to attach, do maybe this minor league system, which a lot of people say college football is that for the pros, find a way to be like, okay, this team feeds, these guys can pull from it. These guys can go here and play. Make it a development system. If you do that, I think the intrigue will be higher. AAA baseball, AA baseball, all these minor league baseball teams, they've been around forever. NBA has the D League or the G League, whatever it's been called. Why can't that work in the NFL? Because there's no home for these guys other than the Canadian Football League, and they've been around long enough that they're doing a good job. There's no other home for straight up American football. If the XFL can bill itself in that way and maybe try to attach itself to the NFL and ride off of those coattails, I think they can find success. But in all sincerity, I don't believe there's any way that it works. I think the NFL, out of all the professional sports leagues, is the only league that doesn't need a minor league system, and they find a way to make it work every year because that's kind of the fun of it. That's what the preseason's for. Building the team, doing things like that. If the XFL can feed off of that energy and maybe gain some traction, it might work, but I'm going to go with no, but I'll still watch.
Butch, your thoughts on a very interesting topic tonight?
I don't know how interested it is, but I mean, decent as cake. Maybe it's a little different than, number one, Jeff Okudah is going to the Detroit Lions. They are a fool if they do not get that young man on the third pick. They need help in the backfield like a hog needs slop on defense there. This young man can help them immediately here. And I say immediately is the word. So we'll straighten that out right quick there. I think the Lions will hopefully not be a fool and pick him as the third pick there. As far as football is concerned, I think some key issues there. Some quarterbacks are out there not signed and may get some extensions there. The Dallas quarterback comes to the mind of what they're going to do with him. Are they going to put a franchise tag on him and make him rot? Okay. Or sit out a training camp or something of that nature until they give him an extension or some kind of contract they can live with, or force him to trade him. That will go down the phase. I think the NFL made it very clear that they want to see more games being played. The players are opting this particular move because of safety issues and whatnot. How hard the owner's going to go after this is very, very, very interesting indeed on how that's going to come about. They can't go about it without the blessing of the players who are going to be mixed up in this particular. And there are going to be some players not only not like it, but there are going to be some players who do like it because it gets to showcase them. That's going to be something to pick and dig about. The Vince McMahon League.
There you go.
You got it. You got it, there, Butch.
Huh?
Go ahead, Butch.
Can you say it? Can you
I got it.
Come on.
Yes, that's right. The Vince McMahon League will be a league that is going to be very intriguing indeed. There, how they're going to do football during the spring, and this last part of winter. They must have some eyes and ears. They must going to be doing something maybe a little bit more special than they did before, because you got ESPN on board along with Fox Sports Network and Fox Sports involved in this there. So they're going to be showing games there. They'll know right quick if it's going to be a fan favorite. I think a lot of teams are going to be looking in other corners, not only with the FFL League, but also look at the Canadian Football League. They're getting players, as one per team already has snatched someone from the Canadian Football League, and he'll be playing National League football this year. And I forgot the player's name right quick here, but I guess that was big news. And I think the NFL is going to be picking that league thoroughly and getting players to come down here. It's something that I thought the Lions could dig with long time ago, because one thing during the preseason I see a lot of scouts from the Canadian Football League parking the Silver Dome as well as now Ford Field, and they have players right now that if the money was right or some kind of sanction was right, such as what they do in the Premier League, they can get great players out of that league very easily to come into the NFL with no problem at all. It's going to be, I think, a very big business type of summer for the National Football League itself. But again, I'm expecting a lot of excitement as far as maybe changes in the game that maybe some and maybe others may or may not like.
Well, and one thing I want to go back to, Butch, before you got into the XFL here, is you were talking about quarterbacks moving around. I think that this is probably the most exciting year for quarterback movement in a long time that I've seen. You got guys, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Jameis Winston, a long list of some big names here that are on the block. I think for me, and I meant to say this earlier, and I just wanted to add on to you pointing that out, Butch, for those of you that aren't paying attention to the quarterback scene this year, it's definitely something worth looking at, because your favorite team may have their future adjusted, but I think that's what I'm most excited about in this offseason is the potential quarterback movement with huge implications.
Mm-hmm. Very, very well said. It's something that right now it's out there right now. You got the several good quarterbacks available, and how they would mesh or grind with other teams there, that would be very good mysteries to come up there and digest.
We're going to take a break here on the game. Great stuff, gentlemen. We come back, we'll have another topic. We're going to talk a little NBA, and obviously it's been a very emotional week in the NBA, and lots of people have had lots to say. And I'm going to talk about one, throw out a gentleman that everybody knows in the NBA and how he has handled this unfortunate situation, obviously, with the tragic loss of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and 7 others in that helicopter crash about a week or so ago. You're listening to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. You're listening to The Game on ESPN 1400.
The local housing market is competitive, and unless you have the right team in your corner, you might miss out on your dream home. That's why happy customers choose Old Mission Bank for their home mortgage needs. We provide quality service from the time you submit your application to closing and then through the entire life of your loan. Let our friendly, knowledgeable staff be your financial partner. Call or stop by to check out our competitive rates and all the other fast, simple solutions we offer at Old Mission Bank. We're located in Pickford and Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. FDIC insured, equal housing lender.
Winter is here.
You can't beat it. You might as well join the fun. Leeds Sports Center has the boots you need to keep your feet warm and ready for adventure. It's the perfect time to save on snowshoes for the whole family, too. Boots and snowshoes are now 20% off. Select socks are sale price, too. Expecting a tax refund? Leeds Firearm Layaway Program can help you make the most of it. Don't hibernate. Get out and make the most of the season with the help of Leeds Sports Center on the I-75 Business Burr in Sioux, Michigan. Leeds is open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 6, Thursdays from 10 to 8, and Saturday 10 to 4. Closed Sunday and Monday.
O'Connor's Chrysler Dodge Truck and Jeep in Pickford is your full-service dealership, servicing Pickford and the surrounding areas with pride for more than 50 years. O'Connor's top-notch body shop includes a state-of-the-art frame straightener. O'Connor's is also a proud supporter of community events. Its sales team has the experience to know which model is right for each customer. And with financing available to back your purchase, you can drive away today in your dream vehicle. Local people, local pride. Stop in today on M129 at O'Connor.
It's 2020, and Reed Metals in Dafter, your honest, main source, one-stop metal recycling business serving northern Michigan, hopes everyone has a prosperous year. If you need a few extra dollars to help with your heating bills, or that trip you may want to take to the warm state of Hawaii, bring Reed Metals your unwanted scrap metals, and they'll print you a check. They'll pay you for items like scrap vehicles, heavy equipment, catalytic converters, radiators, batteries, rims, and motors. Reed Metals will give you an honest price without surprise fees or deductions at the scale. Bring in copper, brass, lead, tin, cast, aluminum, steel, and many more types of recyclable metals, and they'll print you a check with your name on it. Reed Metals is your honest, one-stop metal recycling business. Reed Metals also offers roll-off dumpster service. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Visit reedmetals.com or call 906-632-0018. Bring it in or have it hauled, and Reed Metals will print you a check with your name on it. Reed Metals, 11 miles south of the Soo on Mackinac Trail. The last tractor you'll ever need is here. Get into a Massey Ferguson compact or utility tractor and accomplish more than ever before. These versatile tractors are known for their unbeatable power, smart fuel economy, and upgraded creature comforts. And with their ability to multitask through any job around the yard or farm, they'll provide you with outstanding value for years to come. Do all you need to do and more with Massey Ferguson compact and utility tractors. Visit Skinner's of Pickford to find the right model for your operation. You want more from a compact or utility tractor, and at Skinner's of Pickford, you'll find more. More of the newest Massey Ferguson tractors, offering more versatility, more durability, and more performance. Stop by today and find out how Massey Ferguson is expanding the possibilities of what a great tractor can be, and why a Massey Ferguson will be the last tractor you'll ever need. Come see the Massey Ferguson compact and utility tractors at Skinner's of Pickford, your tractor source in the north. You can catch podcasts of the game at thegamesportshow.com. Now let's get back to it with Scott Nason here on ESPN 1400.
7:30 here on the game, ESPN 1400. Scott Nason along with EJ Russell and Butch Davis with you. Don't forget, 8 o'clock we'll be ending our show and going right to Memphis as the Detroit Pistons take on the Memphis Grizzlies. That one will be joined in progress. We'll probably miss the first couple minutes here, but we'll get right to all the action. If you want to hear the podcast version of our 2-hour show tonight, you can do so by going to a pair of places. We put the podcast up around 9 o'clock, sometimes a little bit earlier. You can find it at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. There you can listen live, download it for future references, or download it just to keep it forever. You can also go to the new website, thegamesportshow.com. Same address as the old website, but a brand new look as we continue our roundtable discussion. And gentlemen, obviously last week we were, and in many ways we still are, still reeling from the tragic loss of NBA legend Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others in that helicopter crash, which has really taken the sports world and just the world in general awash as far as places that the NBA hasn't gone before this past week. Obviously, we saw the Lakers resume action on Friday night, and what I wanted to talk about was LeBron James. And, people have lots of opinions on LeBron James. It was announced today that for the All-Star game, he's going to wear the number 2. as the NBA is paying tribute, obviously, to Kobe Bryant wearing 24. He's wearing it for his 5-year-old daughter. And I just want your thoughts on LeBron James and how he's handled things this week. Obviously, it's a tough situation for anybody to be in, and we've seen emotions all across the NBA and just the sports world and the outpouring of emotions. But I thought LeBron James Friday night, watching that pregame ceremony, and I watched the whole thing, I thought what his speech was just fantastic. And you can say what you will about LeBron James, but I think as a man, I would put him up against anybody in sports as far as his character and how he has helped heal a city that's reeling, and really a league and just sports world that's still reeling over the loss of Kobe Bryant. So I just want your thoughts on that. EJ, I'll go to you first, and then Butch, LeBron James, the Kobe Bryant tragedy, your thoughts.
I think that he's doing absolutely everything he can to try to handle this with class. And I think that, in the wake of Kobe Bryant passing and the others that have passed, including Gigi and the 7 others, there were a few people who I was really, I don't want to choose to say the word excited, but I was excited to see what they were going to say. And you were waiting to see what they were going to say about it. And those people were Shaq, Jeannie Buss, I expected to get a statement from. I was curious to see what Phil Jackson would say, and then LeBron James. And I think that a lot of things were done really, really well. However, the one thing that I didn't care for was I think I heard a few too many I's and we's in LeBron James' speech. I did think that it was a good speech, but I think it would have been a great speech had he tailored that just a tiny bit more to the organization for the Los Angeles Lakers and the community. He tried to show people that the team was using it as a motivation for them going forward. I just heard a few too many I's. He had a speech prepared of what the organization wanted to say. I think he should have stuck a little bit more to that. I do appreciate him shooting from the heart. I just didn't think it was the best speech ever. I'm not saying it was bad. It was certainly something that everyone wanted and was waiting and needing to hear. I just think that it could have been done a little bit better. I just don't know that what he was saying was most appropriate for what we all needed to hear at that time. And I'll just kind of leave it at that.
And Butch, you and I talked about earlier last week or after the show, talking about the panel they had on TNT, and one of the ones, Jerry West, and just the emotion that he showed in talking about Kobe Bryant. Your thoughts on the topic as far as LeBron James and how he's handled it, and just the Kobe Bryant tragedy in general?
I am 110% with EJ on this one here, buddy. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm on an island.
I know he's choking
this
on
is a rare
some
moment.
milk
Somebody
or
write,
something,
somebody,
Someone
write down the date. Butch agrees with me
properly. But I'm with EJ 110% on this. I think it's a lot too much on LeBron James and what he would do. There's some kid out there right now who will never get an opportunity to speak on this particular. And, I always look at, they use a celebrity or something and say he speaks for all of us. But no, he doesn't speak for all of us. He will never take away the times I spent with Kobe Bryant, which were, again, 2 of them. But the person who introduced me to him in the first place, which was his father, okay, those things that they trump everything that's going on TV, because that's what I have to take within me and share with my kids, my grandkids, and all this other stuff, and the pictures maybe I took with them. However, you got to ask yourself again, where's LeBron James when now they're dismantling the memorial that's for Kobe Bryant? I haven't heard anyone from the media bring up the question, when is the actual memorial for these people going to be inclined?
Right.
Regardless of the situation, from what I understand, our bodies have been recovered. Okay, what's there for that? Okay, so when is there going to be a proper memorial so those families of those particular individuals can grieve and grieve properly there? We talk a lot about Kobe, and yes, there has been mention of the other families as well. But my mother used to have an old saying, all crap stink. And, you know, unless you do it for one, you got to do it for all. And to me, you know, when I went down to the Little Caesars Arena this weekend twice and took in the Piston game, which, by the way, thank goodness for Windsor, Ontario for the Toronto game because they packed that joint.
They sure did.
19,000 people came in, and the majority of them were Canadian citizens right out of Windsor. And I talked to them, and they said, you know, he really doesn't speak for me, you know, and what pleasure that I watched the basketball player give me. And maybe that's what's missing right now here is the many other people who may not be as big as LeBron James, but has just as much substance because they're the ones who buy the tickets, they're the ones who buy the jerseys, they're the ones who have water cooler discussions about Kobe Bryant or some other NBA player. It's none of that has been talked about there, even in a majority of the people who I approached said, you know, when is the actual memorial or funeral going to be for these individuals there? So the moaning and mourning can stop because there, you know, a lot of people don't like the way the NBA is turning the All-Star game into a circus. They feel that that's really not necessary. That's not what Kobe Bryant would want, okay? You know, and then one lady just came out and said the marketing in someone's death is wrong. And it needs to stop because if they're going to talk about the guy, you haven't talked about the guy in Denver when he got in trouble.
Ooh.
And that came out as well, okay? So you don't get I think sometimes you can overdo something that should be overdone. Yes, Kobe Bryant was a great player in the NBA. Yes, he was a very good mentor to some, maybe not all, but to some. But again, when you know, too many cooks spoil the sauce. And I think to this day, you know, regardless of the speech that was said, I think TNT did the best job of anyone concerned when it came down to dealing with this.
Yep.
Because they didn't really pinpoint LeBron James. They went after players, coaches, people who actually had time and space with them. McGrady, okay, who lives in the area as such, and his daughter playing in the same league that particular Kobe Bryant's daughter was playing in, Altobelli's daughter was playing in. It was nothing, you know, that came out in a grumble of ESPN. So, you know, to hear all the stories is great, but again, people want to agree to somewhat move on. And right now, I think my question is when is the NBA ready to move on?
Butch and EJ, I think you both have very valid points there. I think we all agree that TNT definitely did the best job of anybody covering it. And I would agree with what you said, Butch. There needs to be a time for some closure on this and having a memorial. And I'm just going to end it because this is a rare moment in the game history. For those that have been with us for a while that have listened, Butch and EJ agree about as much as Trump and Elizabeth Warren. It just doesn't happen very often. So congratulations to you two guys for being on the same team for a change.
I think that in and of itself is the memorial.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's take our final.
Really, EJ had I think, you know what? EJ had the most elegant point in town there, you know, and what he has said has truth and valor to it there. You know, LeBron James can only do so much. But again, you look at the silver spoon that somewhat people are going to say it came through his mouth. not always the best choice on having a representative or someone to represent you there, because before LeBron James even got to L.A., there were other people in the play. To me, that Jabbar could have been a better recipient of dealing with that, because he saw him from the very beginning there. Shaquille O'Neal, again, we saw his feelings about it on TNT, and those were real, okay? So you commend him for getting in front of people and making a situation of a show or a memorial type of thing, because the game lasted 3 hours and 30 minutes. The game didn't start on time. Is it something that the LA Laker fan base needed to hear? I will not disagree with you, Scott. Yes, they did. They needed to hear that. They needed to be raised up. Was the hoopla and everything else surrounding that particular game was necessary? Yes, okay. You had to say you had to move them, because people did not try to come in that particular center in the mood of what you normally would. This is something that's carried over due to a cancellation of a game. But I think, again, EJ said it best. It wasn't all that elegant, but he said some of the things he needed to say. And, sometimes less is always good.
And Butch and EJ, go ahead, EJ.
I know you're trying to go to a break. Here, but I think that some of the best comments I heard were the short clips from guys like Greg Popovich and these other younger players that were so influenced by him. And I felt so much better hearing those comments than I did listening to the speech. I understand that he was trying to shoot off the hip there and go from the heart. But unless you're, and everybody said, unless you're from LA, you don't get what that man meant to the city. And the high profile coaches and players and even the fans, their comments to me carried a lot more weight than an okay to good speech given by LeBron that night.
And I'll just end with this, gentlemen. I was on my 4th gin and tonic, I think, when that speech was going on, so it might have sounded a lot better at that time. I'll have to re-listen to that. But you guys got along, so that's what makes it even better. That's right. I certainly did. We're going to take our final break here on the game. We come back. We'll go to EJ Russell for his topic. We'll get to our thumbs up and thumbs down. That's all coming up next on the game here on ESPN 1400.
Looking for the lowest prices and the best deals on quality used cars, trucks, or SUVs? Look no further than Rodenroth Motors. We have the largest selection of quality pre-owned certified vehicles ever, all priced below book, and all come with a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty. It's our way of standing behind what we sell and guaranteeing you that you'll get the highest quality pre-owned vehicle only at Rodenroth Motors. Stop in and check out our largest selection ever, with prices starting at $49.95. I'm sure we'll have something for you. Don't forget to look for the hang tag specials. These units are clearly priced at or near dealer cost. Just another way we can save you even more money. Come see why all roads lead to Rodenroth Motors for Chevy, Buick, and GMC, the #1 volume dealer in the Eastern UP, at the corner of 3 Mile and Mackinac Trail in beautiful Sault Ste. Marie. Find us on the web or like us on Facebook. Chevy, find new roads.
I wonder just how many times Merle's Towing has made their way out in the middle of nowhere late at night in below zero weather and given a grateful motorist a jump. Or met a driver in town who spaced out and locked their keys in the car. Or who took a curve just a little too fast for conditions and ended up in the ditch. The Merle's crew's been doing it for 45 years, so they've helped out their neighbors, I'd say thousands and thousands of times. Good to know there's somebody you can always count on, isn't it? Merle's Towing, Sioux, Michigan.
In today's fast-paced world, convenience is key. Central Savings Bank knows this and keeps you up to date with all the latest banking technology. Pay securely and conveniently with Mobile Wallet. Manage all your banking needs with internet banking. Central Savings Bank has been in business since 1902, and there's a reason why. No hassle checking and savings accounts. Apply easily for a home loan or home equity loan. See for yourself why CSB is Chippewa County's leading mortgage processor. Not a fan of waiting? No problem. Central Savings Bank offers instant issue debit cards. Switch today and experience old-fashioned customer service along with the latest banking trends. CSB's experts can also help you with the savings plan and retirement investing. With IRAs and CDs, they'll assist you in making the best choice for you. Get started by visiting one of their 9 locations today. Bank with the best. Bank with Central Savings Bank.
Central Savings Bank. Ask what we can do for you.
Let's get back to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Let's get back to the game on ESPN 1400.
7:47 on the game, ESPN 1400. Scott Nason with you from our studios on M129 and 3 Mile Road. We're continued to be joined by Butch Davis from Metro Detroit and EJ Russell from Escanaba, Michigan. As we continue the round table portion of the show, EJ, it's time for your topic. Butch will give you first crack, and then I'll take a shot at it. So, EJ Russell, what do you want to talk about tonight in the world of sports?
Well, keeping with our NBA theme that we're just coming off of our Kobe Bryant talk. And first off, with the Kobe Bryant talk, I hope everybody that's listening to the show, have your own conversation with your friends about what Kobe meant to you. Please, yes, he had his transgressions and the incident that happened in Colorado, but try to keep Kobe in good light, because I think that's what basketball and sports needs right now. But as far as basketball goes, there's a guy that a lot of us were paying attention to when it came to the draft, and has quieted down for a while because of injury, but he's back and he's playing, and that's Zion Williamson. So my question for you gentlemen, and I got a chance to watch him play the Houston Rockets this weekend. What are your thoughts on Zion so far? Have you gotten a chance to really watch him play? And what are you expecting him to do going forward throughout the rest of this season?
Butch, the floor is yours.
I would love him to stay healthy. Would that be very much so possible in the NBA and the way he is he's using his body in order to satisfy himself in the NBA? I hope and pray that comes about. The boy, young man, is just so richly developed and just effortlessly do things. I watch him shoot those 3-pointers. Like to say, I can do that too. And without a doubt, just hit nothing but bucket bottom of the net. It's mind-boggling the way this young man, and he carries himself very well as he's been tutored from someone. Maybe home, maybe both, maybe some coaches, maybe his posse that he carries around, but he carries himself very, very well. Short and sweet is always a good angle on dealing with things, and he does it very, very well. And I think if he doesn't get injured, which hopefully he does not, or major injury, that's per se, because you're going to go through some phase and anger in the NBA. We're able to enjoy this guy's talent for a very long time. I like him. He's going to put the playoffs in New Orleans this year. I believe that with the amount of talent that New Orleans have, and they do have some talented players on that particular team. And as quickly as this young man will be able to mesh with those particular talents, I think you're going to see some things from New Orleans that you haven't seen from a team for a long time. They may be as good as the St. Louis Blues that were last year, where they were at the position they were at, and move up a notch because of Zion's playing. Now, again, they do have some talented players. Holiday is down there. So many other players are down there.
Are they going to trade Drew? Are they going to trade Drew?
You know what? That's one of the talks that's going around right now there, and I think they're fool to do so because you need veterans on the team, and from Drew,
I agree.
You have that, okay? You won't get it anywhere else because the majority of the team is very young. But again, I'm very curious on how that particular picture of the scenario is going to end. Will this guy get hurt again there? There's a lot saying of the talents we see now, but when a player gets hurt or injured or something, it's always coming up. And we have seen it as fans up here in Detroit on all four of those major teams. It's not fair game anymore.
Yeah, Butch, and I would agree 100%. Obviously, like any player, it all depends on his health, and we've already seen him miss, a good chunk of this season. And I've watched him bits and pieces. I watched a little bit of the game on Sunday against Houston, and he's one of those players that when he's out there, you're watching him. You're not watching the ball. And I don't think a whole lot of players that you can say that about in the NBA. And this guy's played a handful of games so far. And I mean, he looks different from anybody else. I'm just trying to think of an NBA player that I could compare him to that I've seen.
LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron in a way, but I mean, just size-wise and what he does, I think LeBron and what he does, but how he looks out there, I memean, he's very unique, and there's a lot of hype as far as what Zion Williamson does, but I think New Orleans is just a fun team to watch. I love Lonzo Ball. I've always enjoyed watching him, and speaking of hype, and, I think that Zion does give this team a push to get in the playoffs, and then you know what? New Orleans, they're playing on the house's money. They have no pressure whatsoever where you have the other teams in there. Do I think that New Orleans is going to make the NBA Finals? Probably not. But do I think that they would be an interesting opponent for a top 1 or 2 or 3 seed to take on in the West? Absolutely. And so Zion's got my attention. There's a whole lot of hype. Can he live up to it? We'll see, but he's definitely been fun to watch, and I've been watching him as much as I can. EJ, your thoughts on your topic before we get to our thumbs up and thumbs down?
Well, look at the games that Zion has played against guys of talent or teams of talent. The Rockets, I'll say the Rockets, the Grizzlies, the Celtics, and I'll put the Nuggets in there as well. Memphis and Houston, 24 and 21 points respectively. And then against Denver, he only put up 15. Again, he's been on a minutes limit. He only played 21 minutes against Denver. Season high, 33 minutes against Houston this weekend. And I watched that game on Sunday. Man, does he just look slow. I mean, he can take 60-something foot lob passes from Lonzo Ball and bury it to the bottom of the cup. But I just don't know that as much as he weighs, as big as this guy is, that he's going to be able to do it over a long period of time. This guy weighs 280-something pounds and is 6'6". Houston's been rolling with a lineup of guys no taller than 6'6" for the last 4 games, right? And they're winning. But they can run the floor so much better. I mean, this is a Houston Rockets are a team with guys like James Harden and Russell Westbrook that could jump out the gym, but are also fast enough to burn by you're one of your best players. His efficiency as far as shooting has gone down. He's got all of the physical skills, but I don't see a way that if he doesn't drop weight and find a way to be able to run the floor like some of these superstars go, I just don't see him ever elevating that level. I see him being a guy like a Tyson Chandler that anytime he's on your lineup, you're like, wow, that guy's really good, but he's never really a superstar. Or a guy like a Drew Holiday who has all the talent in the world but just hasn't been able to, get to. But I understand that he's done so many right things. I love Drew Holiday. I'm a big fan. But he's never that guy, and I don't think he ever can be that guy. I don't think that the Pelicans should trade Drew Holiday away. I think he's a great asset and tool for Zion Williamson. But I'm just not Butch, you bring up him shooting those 3-pointers. He was 4 for 4 in that game against San Antonio. He shot 2 3-balls since. I mean, this is what that shows me is, number one, he's not a dumb guy. Okay? He's an intelligent player that knows what his role is on the team. But he also needs to move a little bit better. I just didn't see him moving the floor in a way that's conducive to what his team is expecting him to do. I think the most fair comparison to make is LeBron James, a guy that's so physically gifted, fast, muscular, strong, big, will to win. Zion looks as close to LeBron James as you're going to get, in my opinion. But he's got to drop some of that weight. LeBron used to be big, dropped some weight, and now look at him later on in his career. He's still putting up numbers. The weight has to be a concern. There aren't too many ultra big guys outside of Shaquille O'Neal that have been able to have super prolonged careers in this league. I mean, look at Big Baby Davis, Perkins, these big, ultra big guys that just haven't been able to have these significantly long careers carrying as much weight as they are. You just don't see that, Kate. Look at the best players in the league right now. Let's look at Kevin Durant. This guy's super limber. LeBron James is probably, it is some of his lowest body fat that he's ever been. Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant had very similar body types. These guys that are successful, ultra limber. Look at a guy like Brandon Ingram, who's having the best year of his career. He's got that long, lanky look to him. Hey, we're in an age in the NBA where the big, bulky guy may not work anymore. And you have to be able to play this game fast. And my concern with Zion Williamson right now is, can he run the floor? Can his body hold up? And I'll tell you right now, at 6'6", 284 pounds, I'm not willing to bet on his knees. I'm not willing to bet on his ankles. I'm not willing to bet on this guy for any more than 5 years right now. His weight needs to be something that the team needs to address. I understand that large physical nature of the guy is what makes him so attractive, but he's got to find a way to drop 10, 20 pounds just to make him more able to run the floor. I think anybody that's watched him play this year, his conditioning is an issue, and he's trying to play his way into shape, but I don't think that he can, I don't think you can see him in a game for 40 plus minutes if he doesn't find a way to cut 10, 20 pounds, right? He's gifted. Yes. He's hyped. Yes. He has every physical attribute that he wants. The one statistic that nobody talks about, he only averages 1.7 assists per game and less than 10 rebounds. As big as he is, he needs to go up and get that ball and needs to get better at passing. He needs to find a way to work within the offense. And if he does that and he finds a way to be faster on the floor, then yes, I'll see him being successful. But right now, as he sits in his current body type and the way that he's playing this game, he's going to struggle to have a prolonged, significant career in this association.
Gentlemen, we're running short of time. Butch, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
Well, thumbs up for TNT, and they're dealing with Kobe Bryant situation. They had everything known to man on there. Again, my thumbs up for TNT. Thumbs down, I don't know. I guess football's in and the XFL is beginning there. So, again, hey, let's see what happens on that one.
Let's see what happens indeed. Thumbs up. I got just one because we're short of time. Sophia Kenin, the American born of Russian immigrant parents, winning the Australian Open. Kind of went unnoticed this week. Her first major. Great job, Sophia. EJ, we got about 35 seconds. Your thumbs up and thumbs down.
Thumbs up the week. Andy Reid, congratulations on your first Super Bowl. Thumbs down for the week. I got to give it to the San Francisco 49ers. You can't blow that lead in that game. This is the third game this postseason that Kansas City's won after trailing by double digits. Got to find a way to put the game away. You got a great defense. Thumbs up, Andy Reid. Thumbs down, Niners D.
And thumbs up to you guys, Butch Davis and EJ Russell, along with Dave McCaig, joining us on this edition of the game. We will be back next Monday night for our next edition. Don't forget, you can hear the podcast of this show at thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Coming up after our show, we'll be joining the Detroit Pistons as they take on the Memphis Grizzlies. For Butch Davis, EJ Russell, and Dave McCaig, my name is Scott Nason, and we will talk to you next Monday night for our next edition of the game here on ESPN 1400.
Thanks for listening to the game here on ESPN 1400 WKNW, Sault Ste. Marie's sports leader.